注がれた光の雨、瞳に映ったこの世界を守るため立ち向かう、それは心もやせがの隅でまた霞み始めてる。決意揺らぎそうでも閉ざされた空、その鍵を壊せばそう握られた刃はまだ持て余されて、加速する共鳴が言霊を脈打たせてく。注がれた光の雨、瞳に映ったこの世界を守るため決意
everyone. Good morning, afternoon, and evening. Today's exciting, Rob. I can't remember the last time we had a Chain Guardians live stream on our channel. It's been a busy time for all of us, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's just been absolutely crazy. Everybody within the team is just always like just full throttle, pedal to the metal as it were, like just working the backsides off. So it's ridiculous that we have these like all this work that we're all doing really hard, and it's like obviously you kind of get just like sidetracked from maybe even like finding the opportunity to engage about some of the awesome stuff that we're doing for our project, that rather than like amplifying other projects, for example, all the time. So it's nice to have this opportunity to kind of reflect and stuff for sure.
Well, and I feel like I'm super blessed because I get the opportunity to hang out with our amazing community pretty much every live stream. And at this juncture, I'm sure most of them are tired of seeing my face. Maybe we'll have to swap out a host every once in a while. Maybe get Ryan on here and start to have him do some live streams or something. But the community loves obviously touching bases with you, Emma, the other founders as well, being Iden. So I know everyone's really excited to see you here today, and we're matching. I got the Mixie shirt, you got the Mixie background, so it's a day. It's
That's it.
foreshadowing.
We're,
It's
we're
going to be a
set.
good
We're
one.
set.
Well, so we'll go over a little bit about the structure of the live stream today. No red envelope, but we are doing a lot of Guardian Wheel. And for those of you that don't know, it means IDO spots, it means CGG, it means NFTs. And we have beta tester on there as well, but we might scratch out beta tester and do either more CGG or maybe even more IDOs. We
Okay.
can
Why
we can
are we holding with the beta testers right now? Right. Just
We're a little bit on hold just because there's so many things in the loop that some of the stress testing that we're doing is a little bit more difficult to push through the beta testers. So they won't see a new build here for a bit.
that's
Um,
true. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But obviously we like giving stuff away. So INOs, IDOs, and little
Mm.
hint, INOs.
INOs. Yeah.
INOs, that's what everyone's looking forward to.
I knows there are INOs coming.
Oh,
Terrible
great.
pun.
I mean, it's okay. We're rocking the Mixie theme today, so it is what it is. Awesome, Rob. So basically, what's going to happen is I'm going to ask Rob some questions. I'm going to do it very similar to Chain Boost. We're going to dig deep into the nitty gritty of things as deeply as we can dig. Of course, Rob will tell us no when I push too far. Um, and then ask your questions as we're covering stuff. I know it's a little change to how we've done things in the past, but as I ask Rob a question, ask follow-up questions, ask elaborating questions, because we'll spin the wheel once or twice. We'll select questions, community questions that we answer after he answers the question that I ask, and we'll spin the wheel once or twice. So it's pretty much everything throughout the live stream is interactive, and then at the end we'll do some stuff too. We'll answer some community questions at the end. So stick around,
Sounds
all the
good.
nitty gritty, thumbs up, subscribe, all that great stuff. Awesome, Rob. Let's get into it. So, Dev Week, massive,
Mm.
comprehensive. I don't think anyone expected this. 7 days of fundamentally changing, large scale, visionary type of ambitious goals that we're all really excited to be able to pursue. But it
Mm.
starts with somewhere, right? It starts with a
Yeah.
CGG full stack, right?
Yes.
So walk me through what was the origination of CGC? Why did we originally create CGC?
Mm.
And how does CGG, the abolishment of CGC, aim to empower the ecosystem participants while promoting the long-term
Mm.
sustainability of what we're doing as a project?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really awesome question, right? I mean, and there's so many different layers to this. So let me try and strip it back just very slightly and go just back to the beginning as to why we incorporated CGC. So when the project was launched in January 2019 and also through 2018, one of the kind of, let's say, considerations, or two of the major considerations we had, was adoption and also scalability. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
even back in 2019, I always say back in, and someone's like, back in? It's not that long ago. And it's like, but actually, in crypto terms, it kind of is, right? But in 2019 and 2018, during last bull, issues of scalability was there. It's not a new thing.
Right.
Scalability has always been an issue. The layer two is popping up even there now, and more and more functionalities, and with Solana opportunities, Elrond, Matic, Polygon, Avalanche, you name it, are a new thing.
Yep.
But back then, the scalability issue was there. So a large part of the reason as to why CGC was there in the first place was because actually it enabled for this kind of balance between on-chain, off-chain ecosystem, so that you can still allow users to, let's say, play the game without having to interact with the blockchain every time and pay ridiculously arduous gas prices. So that was one of the fundamental reasons. Secondly, was around actually mass adoption and enabling for mass adoption. At that time, blockchain gaming was tiny. Like nowadays, NFTs, blockchain gaming, you hear those things, it's like massive, right?
Yep.
Well, still relatively small within the global landscape, but within the crypto bubble, let's say, it's massive now with NFTs and blockchain gaming. But back then, we were considering how best to introduce people into blockchain through an educational point of view, and also from like what they are used to point of view. People understood, I beat this thing, I get these credits, yay, progress in the game. But they didn't necessarily understand what like a blockchain was, and like how to interact with a Web3 wallet or MetaMask and technology and such. So secondly, it was regards to mass adoption, and thirdly, it was a case of, initially speaking, when the game was very first launched, we was tailoring the game towards mobile.
Right.
And the reason for that is because if you just look at, let's say, Axe's success with developing nations or other, let's say, 60% of gamers, there's a lot of data out there would suggest play on mobile, that actually at that time it made sense to optimize for mobile. Now, the only way to get your name out there within mobile was iOS or Android at that time. And therefore, we were also acutely aware that iOS and Android would not touch crypto with a barge pole because of the regulatory uncertainty. So that meant that we had the need for an off-chain currency at that time, and the idea was to have this full game which would manage off CGC, and then those that were blockchain savvy would have the opportunity to come and redeem it for CGG. And therefore interact with all of the funkiness and the beautiful opportunities that exist within the blockchain world. So hopefully that.
Beautiful. Yeah, no, I think that's, we talked a little bit about it when I was doing the Forest Night live stream, is how difficult it is to follow kind of the legal framework set forth for mobile optimization due to kind of the intricacies of global markets and global frameworks when it applies to app stores and mobile optimization.
Absolutely.
So thank you for that overview. Can you discuss how does CGG Full Stack empower the users in our ecosystem, and how is it going to, like, what's the vision behind CGG Full Stack as you were drafting up, as we went through ideations and iterations of different models? How do we come to where we are today?
Yeah, I think, you've got a very macrocosmic view, a very big view on that. And then you've got the smaller, let's say, micro factors as to why we took that decision. The kind of, the macro reason, let's say, behind that was in terms of the balance of the game economy. It made much more sense to essentially, build all the utility into CGG. Now, we've done a lot of competitive analysis. Obviously, Axie is a massive success story. If you look at, say, for example, CryptoBlades recently have just launched a secondary token because they're looking to separate functionalities of their tokens. And there was always the consideration that as an opportunity, for the, ChainGuardians and the CGG token, and having the separate segment in the different utilities of the token. But we just felt as though if you build in, let's say, enough functionality into the token and you drive all of the use case through that single token, you can still offset, let's say, any individuals who want to, say, extract some value from the ecosystem in terms of redemptions to ETH if you're in a developing nation, towards like all of the additional use cases that users can actually get from that token. And it takes a lot of like fine detail and micro factors that consider that being enabled to happen, such as, for example, a self-balancing ecosystem. And that's where, for example, the merging of the NFT mining platform comes with the RPG and such. So you're actually top loading those rewards, and you are, like, let's say, through data analysis and monitoring, essentially basically ensuring that there's a delicate balance of any wealth that may be extracted from the CGG token through redemptions elsewhere. So the idea is that actually you're still enabling yourself and empowering the users for mass adoption without actually having to segment these different use cases. You've got this one God token that kind of fits all. Now, everything within this space is like innovation. It's like
Yeah.
there's no blueprint for how this is to be done, and it might be that in a year's time or 2 years' time we have to reshift the direction as the market deems or demands, or for example as our analysis determines, or whatever reason. But we feel as though right now this is without a doubt, let's say, the most friendly user experience we can offer for the community.
Dude, I think that's just it. I I spent a lot of time thinking about this last night as we were drafting some questions for this live stream. Obviously, we have a script, so you'll have to excuse me as I divert every once in a while. But I spent a lot of time thinking about a GameFi token that has more use case than CGG, than what CGG is going to have.
Yep.
And you named it. You hit it on the head because we're thinking the same thing. That God token, like as you mentioned, right? We will cover all of the utilities later in the live stream, but I can't think of a more comprehensive token that adds more value and utility. I shouldn't say value, but adds more utility for user interaction, right? And so I think that just to maybe recap what you're saying is we wanted to make it very simple and pack one token full of as much utility as possible to make it really easy for people to engage with our ecosystem.
Correct.
But it's also creating that scarcity effect, right?
Yeah.
Which we'll talk more about as we talk about the lockup and stuff. So we're gonna just ask a quick question here. Did you see one that you liked, Rob, or do you want me to pick one out for you here?
Do you know what? And it's just popped up now. And again, hopefully this was kind of addressed, let's say, previously. But let's have a look at the when CGC to CGG, right? Because isn't that a question that pops up quite a lot from the community? And also,
it is, yeah. Actually, I think that the community would love to hear the founder's addressment on that.
Yeah. So obviously, hopefully you've read the updates, John. And the idea is that we're going to abolish CGC completely, as me and Ben were just kind of alluding to. But of course, that doesn't mean for the users that have accumulated CGC to date that they're going to be left in the lurch with, having not been rewarded for their time, right? Quite frankly, the CGC to CGG converter has been ready for 2 months. It's built. It's a similar situation to staking. It's there. The only reason it's not being released is because of these considerations: the competitive analysis, the data analysis, the analysis of the code stack of the current position of the RPG. There has been some exploitation of the RPG, which we're fully aware of. We're not stupid. So, for example, if I just type in here, manage to hack into the computer, the game or whatever, and I just type in like, I've got 500,000 CGC. Well, we take timestamps. We know people have done that, so they're never going to get away with that. But the point being that you can't enable like that system to be constantly exploitable, for example, on an ongoing basis. Now, moving pure to CGG will automatically combat a large amount of that, because we're completely changing a large part of the back-end security stack, and also as Ben will know, the RPG and all of the code base there. But in lieu of all of those different considerations, the data analysis, the competitive analysis, the internal review of the code stacks, we decided to abolish CGC. Now, just to go back very quickly to say that the CGC to CGG converter, you will see it. It's this really beautiful UI, and it's Cuckoo stood in a library, and he's like, come and magically convert your CGC to CGG. But we're going to be, when that is rolled out, it's going to be a very strict, regimented, thoughtful process for users that are going to come. We're going to be reading that their profile data for what CGC they have, and there will be sense checks and data points that are basically essentially timestamped throughout the entirety of the lifespan of CGC. It's a huge body of work, let me just put it that way. And until we're mobilized for the re-architecturing of the existing RPG and backend code stack, we're not going to roll that out. But rest assured that the CGC you are currently accumulating and have accumulated to this moment in time, you will be able to redeem for CGC and claim that reward. But it's just going to take us a little bit of time.
Yeah, so it sounds like if we were to unpack and deconstruct all that, Rob, it sounds like just overarching concepts is we're optimizing some things in the RPG to best roll it out. Do we have an approximate approximate 1 month, 2 month, 3 month type of timeline for people, because as we know, people are very understanding that before we made this transition to full stack CGG, that we were going to do this converter. So people are very understanding that now that we're not doing this converter, it's going to slightly delay things a little bit. But can we provide a general timeline for people? Because I know people are really excited to get CGG. We're talking, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things we can do with CGG. There's a lot of utility packed into it. So people want to know general time frame. When can they get their CGG?
Yeah, I would be cautiously optimistic towards before end of year, just based on the current what the devs have currently told me with respect to re-architecturing the existing code stack, the implementation of the additional security measures. We've obviously had to shift to Amazon Web Services and stuff as well, so there's a bit of work to do there. You know, I would be cautiously optimistic before end of year. That's as best as I can kind of give currently. But of course, as and when that becomes clearer, I will share more information on that.
Okay. Awesome. And I'm just going to address this question really quick from Crypto Beach here is for people who use bots, is there a way to be forgiven? We didn't before the most recent article that we posted on Medium and our blog, we didn't take a stance on bots one way or another. So we're basically, if we see, you can fill out the form if you want to, if you limit broke past level 80 to try to get a reward. Would recommend not doing it, because we're going to audit those accounts. If we see the malicious activity, then we'll ban you. But the easy way around that is just don't fill out the form, and moving forward, don't use bots or auto battle combat, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole centralization versus decentralization debate coming in here, isn't it? And it's a very, very tough one. DAOs, ideologically speaking, and governance, ideologically speaking, and open source, ideologically speaking, is all beautiful, and we all strive for that. But for obvious reasons, where you've got potentially real, tangible value to consider at play here, the more that you reveal, potentially the more that can be exploited, unless you are like just everything is on chain, which is just not totally feasible. So for obvious reasons, there are certain things, like for example with bots, it's a case of you have to take almost like an organizational kind of, let's say, standpoint on whether or not that's acceptable. For today, for several reasons, we haven't, let's say, committed either way on the bot thing. Namely because, it's a good learning opportunity for us. How are people doing it? Then we can run the data analysis and see what they're doing and how they're kind of manipulating the system or whatever. But to be clear, there will be a point where, we are communicating that, anybody who's breaking the terms of service, which essentially includes botting and manipulation of the system for any sort of gain, will essentially result in, the blacklisting of your account. So it is coming, and it's probably sooner than people will think, and we are watching. Is what I will say.
The easiest way to put what Rob just said in a paper is, if you're doing it, stop. That's the easiest way to look at it. So we'll spin the wheel here for John Ramirez. Remember, the beta tester will just go with IDO for beta tester. I'm not sure if you guys are going to be able to see the wheel here because my blur.
We can see.
You can see?
Yeah, just about. Whoa, that's trippy. Beta tester.
Beta tester. So that means IDO spot for John, which is brilliant. Love it. We got a bunch of stuff coming up, so we'll get you squared away there. And then let's take a look here. We also have Crypto Beach. We'll spin it for Mr. Crypto Beach here.
IDO spot.
I guess we're giving away all the IDO spots today.
Lucky people. Exciting projects coming up, right?
Yeah, and the cool thing that I want to mention is that if you get selected for an IDO spot and you reside in a restricted country, I will whitelist you for an INO instead, so you can participate. So again, it kind of leaks is because I wouldn't be offering this if we didn't have INOs right around the corner. So
Muchos leakers.
Yeah, much of leakers. At least they don't know what INOs we're talking about.
That's true. We should probably not mention that.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, let's move on to the next one. We are successfully through one question out of 7 and 20 minutes in, so we're moving at a great pace today. Uh, merging of the RPG and mining platforms, which is really, I'm personally really excited for this one because you have two elements. Really, you have the social implementation of guilds, this cohesive like guild experience, but it also creates two different pathways for users, being active and passive gamification of this NFT mining platform we have.
Yeah.
Which I'm really excited for because I know some people like to be more into it than the traditional passive NFT mining platform experience that we've offered. But what does the merge accomplish, and how does the merge aim to amplify user experiences and create different elements of immersive gameplay and interactions with our platform?
Yeah, great question, Ben. I mean, there are obvious and there are unobvious. The obvious being, the social experience, right? I think all MMOs ultimately, I mean, people like to play games independently, of course, but I think that for within a blockchain environment, within a community like our own, the social element is really important. Our community is amazing because of their social experiences, because of how they interact with one another, because of obviously the hard work that the CM team do as well, and facilitating those conversations productively and whatever or not. But obviously, with regards to the guilds, it adds an additional layer of, let's say, immersivity of working together towards achieving goals. And actually, what you're essentially doing is you are like you're encouraging people to pool resources together to actually extract more value. So it adds an additional layer of design to the game as well, in the sense of how best to optimize or utilize your teams to work together to accomplish a common goal. That's the kind of, let's say, the really obvious one. The unobvious side of this is that what you're effectively doing is you are automatically creating a synergistic or a balance end game content in the ecosystem. So, for example, if you say, well, the Cryptoverse, the world here has, let's say, just for argument's sake, and we're still working on this data points, let's say 30,000 CGG a day, right? And within per day, every guild can earn a proportion of that 30,000 CGG per day. But here's the catch. If you want to increase your earnings per day, you need to demobilize another mining farm. And to do that, you have to beat their NFTs and their teams. Okay. And then the percentage of that mining farm that you have, let's say, demobilized is reverted back to you as a guild, and you're therefore enhancing your earnings. So essentially what you're doing is you are forcing combat scenarios. So it's it's almost as though it's an automatically balancing ecosystem in that way. And it allows us to control the rate of rewards that are distributed through the platform, as well as encouraging people to essentially engage in game scenarios to earn. That's the unobvious.
Brilliant, man. Yeah. I think that's one thing that people are looking forward to. As I know you pop in telegrams, as you make your appearances on Telegram and Discord, we have built, talking about the community, every single live stream, we have built one of the most passionate communities that I can think of. We already have pseudo guild wars going on. We already have people stacking up on captains, aligning different rivalries. Like people are excited about this because RPGs should have a social element to it. Yeah. Right? So to piggyback off of that, the question being is, will there be a way for people to communicate in game, whether it be the RPG or this passive active mining experience, for people to communicate with each other on our platforms in the actual platforms themselves?
Yeah, is the short answer. Of course. I mean, if anybody's ever played something like WoW or the new Final Fantasy Online, or they all have like a guild chat system. It'd be akin to the same sort of principle. It would require you. Let's say, for example, you have a guild, and your guild has 10 people in, and each of these 10 people has 5 of the most powerful NFTs within the ecosystem. Just through the balance of the game, that guild's going to be pretty solid.
Yep.
So if you're somebody who's like, let's say, middle of the way, we've got a few decent NFTs, but we can't take down this guild independently. It will force you to coordinate your attacks with, you know, friendly guilds, for example, to defeat this whale and stop them from basically harnessing all of the resources. So, of course, by nature, there will be required social layers will be required. And obviously, we'll look to optimize Discord and other platforms for that to, let's say, be, you know, like more user-friendly. But a chat system is an obvious, you know, path to also take.
It sounds like we have a hashtag Guild Wars channel coming soon to Discord.
Yeah,
brilliant.
definitely.
Brilliant. Love it. Rob, you see a question there you like? I know we got a bunch of passionate people asking all kinds of great questions.
Yeah, let's have a quick glance, So Daniel's just asked a question saying, how do you prevent whale manipulation getting all the rewards? Obviously, the high-level NFTs are quite difficult to achieve, so it might not be accessible to later rivals or NFT lending alpha. So I think I've just kind of answered that one, right? The idea being that this endgame content is a self-balancing guild system, which means that if you group together with and coordinate an attack on a guild, and it takes 2 or 3 other guilds, you can still demobilize that guild. So it doesn't matter if they've got every bitsy, every set. It's still doable. It might be difficult, but it's doable. And that's the point of any game, is that like you have to have this like levels of, let's say, difficulty versus achievable. And the idea is that this is not impossible to do, although it might be extremely difficult. So that's how the guild system and the top loading of rewards is tailored towards self-balancing ecosystem.
Brilliant. Love it. Should we give him a spin, Rob?
Let's give him a spin.
And I love it. I love spinning this wheel. Actually, I think I'm breaking the wheel, to be honest. So I don't know how many more live streams we're going to get with this guy. Oh.
Merch.
Love it.
We've got some really cool merch coming actually as well.
This is just one of them, but man, we have there's a digital art fair going on right now for Refineable, and we're doing some custom merch from there. And the custom merch that people win is going to be valued at a lot because it's a really luxury and bitsy sweatshirt. And so if y'all don't know what's going on there, we're doing I think $18,000 worth of giveaways plus cool NFT mining boost plus merch and some IDO spots too. So go on the ChainGuardians Twitter and definitely take a look because we're doing a lot of really cool, exciting things with the digital art fair in general. So I digress. Let's see.
I wanted to find a screenshot of the merch.
You're
but
gonna
I don't know if I have it. I was going to show it, yeah, but I don't know if I have it handy is the only problem. I can't seem to find it. I think Emma sent it me in about 1964.
It's okay. Emma sends me like a trillion things at once and it gets lost sometimes. But yeah, the Bitsy sweatshirt, I mean, definitely going to see me rocking the Bitsy sweatshirt in some videos moving forward. Brilliant. 100%. Brilliant. All right, Dan, we're going to get you some merch. Just make sure we'll give you a ping after the live stream here. Let's move forward because we are rocking it now. We covered that segment in less than 10 minutes, which is great because we got 5 more to go. I think this is one that people are going to have a lot of questions about as we move towards improved user interface, user experience. We're starting to talk about character classification, talent trees, and some other stuff internally as a team of how we've expanded to make sure that we're fulfilling the needs of the community here, right?
Yeah.
But specifically, one of the fundamental aspects of an RPG, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, is the customized character experience. And specifically, how can you maybe touch a little bit on what your vision is of character classifications, talent trees, etc., and how we plan to use those to bolster immersive experiences within the purview of an RPG?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think these changes are actually more hinged upon the community feedback. So kudos to all of you guys that we were listening. As I said, it does. We've always got so much on us plate, but we do listen, we do read, and we do react to these things. And one of some of the feedback that was coming through was that the characters feel a bit samey in terms of like, you know, let's say the damage they do, the attacks that they do, and you know, what difference does it make if I have my characters in the front line, the back line, the middle, and all this. And they were, you know, they were absolutely right, and that was, it was almost something that I subconsciously acknowledged myself whenever I had a chance to play the RPG, which is not often. So I think that this particular change was in lieu of the amazing feedback from the community. So thank you all guys for continuing to strive for these important improvements. But yeah, it is about that, let's say, that individualized experience. And for example, the ability to make, let's say, informed decisions about team composition and, you know, why do I want, let's say, for example, why do I want hero to be a tank as opposed to a damage, right? It's like the whole decisions again. I go back to like some of the more popular MMOs where you can pick talent trees and different optimizations will be, for example, better in different scenarios. You know, in the background, there was always classification of character. For example, we have different classifications of support, damage, and tanky-like characters. However, never translated into the front-end experience from the users. So I think what's really important about this is albeit we've got, let's say, a fairly standard logarithmic growth in terms of level progression, is that at that end game content and at various stages throughout, you are going to have choices to make which can optimize your characters. And when you make those choices, it will be important to where you position those characters within your team composition. And that's really important because effectively, like, you want to ensure that people are gaining enough satisfaction through the gamification or aspects of the game in terms of making these decisions and having an effect on the outcome of the game. So for example, if you've got a Bitsy and she's level 100 and you've got a Seth level 100, theoretically there should be a negligible power difference between the two. And if somebody who is playing with a Seth has got a wonderful build and makes the right decisions in game, they should always be able to beat the Bitsy. And what's important is that those decisions, though, on team composition, on character trees, actually directly translate into the results in the game.
Brilliant. I love the sound of that because so often it's pay to win, whereas now you're offering these really strategic. Not you. Sorry, I'm used to Chain Boost interviewing here, but we are offering these immersive experiences where people can look to optimize different build paths, enhancements, etc., to then overcome that hurdle. There are a couple. I see one common question here is: do we plan on doing anything with lieutenant role classification with the randomizers? Are they going to have a talent tree? What's your thought on that?
Yes, I believe that essentially randomizer characters should still have talent tree options, you know, up to their level cap effectively. So let's say, for example, a talent is unlockable every 20 levels, which I think is roughly actually the proposal. So you'd have 5 different talent options up to level 100, say, for example. Then the randomizer should be able to have talent options up to, let's say, you know, 3 out of the 5, 60% of the talent of the character tree. Hopefully that makes sense.
Brilliant. So that, I think that's going to make a lot of people happy, and that segues into the next question. So for that first question, that went to Brian Zilla 2133, and we'll reach out to you for your Twitter handle here in a second. This is a really important question to ask by Christian CJ. Did we already answer a question from CJ or no? No? Okay.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, so Christian asks, are we still looking at a free-to-play game, or will it become a great advantage for people with NFTs? This is obviously relevant because we just changed the the build should be universally live on Wednesday. Maybe a plus or minus a little bit depending on how final stress testing goes. But obviously we just looked at level cap reversions, so people want to know a little bit about this, and I have my answer, but I know you have a passionate answer here as well, Rob, because you're always thinking of ways for free to play being juxtaposing with play to earn, and there does need to be a balance between the two. So I'll let you take the reins on this question because there's a lot to it. There's a lot to deconstruct here.
Honestly, I mean, we would need a whole hour with regards to why this decision was made, to be quite frank. I mean, clearly in the initial sense anyway, there was a bug in the game. which allowed users to actually limit break beyond level 60 for randomizers. All characters should have been capped at the same level currently anyway. So the fact that users could even level above where they were currently, above Guardians, for example, was a bug. And that we tried to fix it for several reasons, but as a result of, let's say, existing code architecture, we kept failing to do that, which sounds really bad, but look, we got there in the end. It was just a little bit of more finicky from a development point of view than we realized, because the randomizer character is such a unique character.
Right.
There's no blueprint for how that has been done before, because it's essentially like gacha, but at the same time, it's like each of them has a token ID, and each of those token IDs is theoretically mintable as an NFT on the blockchain. There's a lot of layers to that character, and honestly, it's been a puzzle ever since the start, and it's one that we still try and figure out. But clearly, the randomizer shouldn't be more powerful than NFTs,
right?
You know, categorically. So that's the first thing I just want to kind of set the record straight on. In terms of why the level cap was introduced, is because from a game balance perspective, of course, the idea is that essentially the NFTs are the guardians from a lore perspective, from a narrative perspective. They should be the more powerful anyway. Within any universe, power exists between characters. From a storytelling perspective, from a game perspective, right? You know, Garrosh is always going to be a powerful character in World of Warcraft. You know, you're always going to have, for example, you know, let's say Snake Plissken in Metal Gear Solid is always going to be a badass kind of, infiltrator. If you put Bart Simpson there, he's going to get his ass handed to him, and that's just facts, right? Because it's about characters and their existence within the world. So randomizers are not as powerful as Guardians, but that doesn't mean to say that as a free-to-play player, you cannot grind your way to the pinnacle of the ecosystem. Effectively, the idea for the randomizer currently is that it offers the gateway towards accessing some of the later layers of endgame content within the ecosystem, so that you can essentially earn throughout those, like, let's say, stages of progress. At that point, you've got a decision. If I've earned 50 CGG in this time, for argument's sake, am I just going to take that and convert it to ETH? Well, you can do. Or am I going to purchase a CG NFT for that amount? And that's the user's decision at that point. We want to encourage you, of course, to revert that value back into our ecosystem, continue playing the game, and to progress further down the line, right? But clearly, there needs to be a fine balance between pay to win, free to play, and play to earn. And again, as I keep saying, there's no blueprint for this. So our current model is the randomizers will enable you with enough hard work to do very well in the game, to earn enough to make decisions as to whether or not you want to put that value back into your teams and purchase NFTs, or you want to take that value out. Now, if you want to take that value out, that's your decision. But at that moment in time, you can't then come around and say, sorry, but it's impossible for me to get to that level. It's not. It is possible. Right. It just takes a lot of hard work, and so it should. Because if somebody's put in X amount of dollars into the game to purchase NFTs, you have to should be showing them adequate value in line with being a completely free-to-play player.
That's so important, Rob, because what people should be hearing is, I'm not aware of another game where you can sit at your computer, download MetaMask, register, start for free, earn on-chain rewards. You can choose to take your on-chain rewards and realize those profits, or, as we talk about, I think 50% of all NFTs moving forward past a certain point are going to be sold only and exclusively in CGG. Yeah, that's important to realize. Is you can sit at your computer and play your way to an on-chain NFT, which then obviously these on-chain NFTs, the ChainGuardian native NFTs, increase the cap of which you can earn, right? Yeah. So you can play to earn, to realize profits, or get an NFT. If you get an NFT, it ultimately increases the cap to earn. So you're empowered to make these decisions however you want. Yep. But the notion is that the concern here, and I understand the community concern, play to earn versus pay to win, there is a dichotomy between the two. However, people buy an NFT, there needs to be utility, bottom line. Yep. If someone buys a $20,000 Bitsy, they need to be able to do more with it than a free character. No one's disputing that. I mean, some people might be upset about it, but no one's disputing that there needs to be a balance there.
Yep.
So ultimately speaking, it's exciting for you. You should be excited because you can sit at your computer, have a blast playing a video game, and earn your way to these really immersive world-class art NFTs, which will ultimately increase your cap to earning, or you can just realize your profit. But it's about empowerment of decision opportunities, and that's what we've created. So,
exactly. That's the idea behind these decisions. And I think the important point to note here is as well is that we always envisioned having like let's say a similar to what, like, let's say Axie and many other projects are having this, let's say, the scholarship type of program too. So if you're somebody whom, you know, is from a, let's say, a developing nation, whom actually is looking to ChainGuardians as a way to, like, literally replace, let's say, a living wage or a salary, and you're saying, okay, I've got as far as I can with the randomizer characters or whatever, and actually I need to take this value out to live, or, you know, because I want to. We don't want to. We're not trying to. Let's say you have a part in our ecosystem, just like everyone else. But the key would be that if you're wanting to compete for those high-end rewards at the top with those, like, let's say, expensive NFTs, then you can go through the scholarship program that will be implemented. And the key thing here is that, you know, renting these NFTs or having these NFTs given to you by somebody else, for example, which also nods towards those that are just collectors and like to earn the passive income. You are learning the game dynamics. So your time spent in the game also has a value in terms of the skill set that you're ascertaining, because the decisions that you would be making end game content with these powerful NFTs will make a difference from somebody who, for example, has never played the game but holds the powerful NFTs. Hope that also adds to that level.
Yeah, 100%, Rob. But even more so, to add to that, is we haven't even discussed the cross utility, the cross function of having boost score here. People can literally play for free to improve their boost score. People can sit down, earn CGG, hit that 500 CGG point where you can KYC. Basically, you played your way to a KYC opportunity, all while increasing your boost score. Your gamers are totally empowered. They're 100% totally empowered to literally play video games and earn their way towards these lucrative contribution opportunities, whether it be IDOs, pre-IDOs, INOs, you have it. No one else has done this. No one. And I don't think anyone will do this because it's so hard to put this ecosystem together. And it can be complex as a user to hear everything we're doing with ChainGuardians, ChainBoost, and the interaction between the two. Long story short, sit down your computer and play the game. You can realize profits if you want, or you can play your way to NFTs, or you can play your way to KYC for ChainBoost. Total empowerment. Bottom line, simplistically stated, total empowerment of gamers, of users, of participants, to explore whatever arena of the ecosystem they want to. And we haven't even talked about DeFi. We haven't even talked about the Cryptoverse. This is why you talked about the God token. I'm going to skip over a couple questions here so we get to the end, Rob. But I do want to bring this up. I'm just going to talk very briefly about what this God token that you talked about, Rob, can do. DeFi. We've done fractionalized NFT farming. Spoiler, we're going to do that again in the future. Internal staking.
Oh, very, very, very close, actually, yeah.
Yeah. Internal staking. Again, very, very close. Just dotting some I's, crossing some T's, which is going to be really immersive. It's going to be gamified. So it's going to be better, in our opinion, better than traditional, but there will be traditional avenues as well. It feels play to earn. The CGG also customizes gaming experience. You can upgrade, enhance, limit break, etc. It raises the play to earn cap. It powers the Cryptoverse. You can purchase NFTs. It covers minting fees once implemented. You can buy merch with it. It powers an entire ChainBoost ecosystem and much more.
Yep.
I don't know about you, Rob, but it's so
easy. I forget. It's so good to hear you say that, because I forget half of the time. I'm like, oh yeah, God, yeah.
Dude, so I don't know how, and maybe you just experienced it, but every once in a while I talk about the utility that we've built and I get excited from a user's perspective. Yeah. Not even my role within ChainGuardians, but just as a user to hear that, I can't. I will give someone $100 out of my own wallet if you find a token, a GameFi token that does more than that right now.
I'd give them $1,000, to be honest with you, because I know of no other, having been in the space for a long time.
I don't know of anyone even close, Rob. I don't know of anyone even close. And it's not to speak ill of anyone. It's just to focus on what we've created from a utility, from a user-oriented perspective. that's what makes me so proud to be part of the team, Rob. And
Same.
I'm sure,
Likewise.
yeah. So we just we blew up a whole bunch of stuff there. So I need to spin the wheel.
Okay, let's spin the wheel.
Need to spin the wheel for Brian and Christian. So let's get that done real quick here.
Sushi Chef Rio.
Oh,
wow, do we still have
very
Sushi
nice.
Chef Rio?
We do have Sushi Chef Rio. So the first
Lucky dude.
that was for Brian. So Brian gets a Sushi Chef Rio, and then let's go for Christian here since he was the second question to ask. Merch. Very nice. Very nice. So we'll get you all hooked up there. Brilliant. Awesome. Congratulations, guys. So we'll move forward. Just a quick piece here on the NFT, on the live events. I know everyone's really excited. We have NFT NYC coming up. You have Token 2049, which we're going to do a giveaway there. If people take a selfie with you, people are going to get some cool things. We'll post on our Twitter. I know you got a haircut just for the selfies, didn't you? You're going to have a paparazzi.
How beautiful.
You can have a paparazzi following you around, man. It's going to be great. So can you talk a little bit about maybe what type of events you're excited for in the future? And we'll keep it brief so we can talk about the Cryptoverse here a little bit at the end.
Yeah, obviously, like Token 2049, I'm heading there tomorrow. I'm very lucky to have been invited to a dinner for the speakers, so I'm really looking forward to, like networking, engaging with some really prominent names in the space. So for example, Mike Novogratz is going to the Token 2049. He's going to be giving a speech and such. I'm not sure if he's going to the dinner. Hopefully he is. You've got like Kane Warwick of Synthetics as well, who's brother to Kane Warwick, who's done Illuvium, for example, another big name. I mean, the list is just endless. I could rail it off. So I'm very excited to go and to obviously network with some really interesting, successful individuals from various projects there. NFT NYC, obviously that's coming up too shortly. Which I know you're going to, Ben. Sadly, still haven't heard whether or not they're going to allow me into the country yet in the Great US due to COVID restrictions. So we'll have to see if I can get there. But that looks amazing. NFT NYC is obviously one of the one of the flagship, one of the very first, if not the first NFT focused events, and it was there before NFTs were cool, right? Before blockchain gaming was cool. So it's good to see that that's getting the recognition it deserves now. But there's a couple more coming up as well. There's a few events like an ETH event going off in Lisbon, which we might have a little bit of a gander at, and then one of our close acquaintances within the ecosystem is running a big NFT event in Vegas in March next year, which I'm kind of earmarking as, won't mind a trip to Sin City myself. So
I live closer, Rob.
Yeah. You're getting to go to New York City.
Fair.
So yeah, and that's just a few that are kind of coming off top of my head. I think that one of the things that we really want to do now is to ensure that we've got a fairly steady but consistent, live presence now at some of these events, so that individuals like community members from around the world can come and speak with the team, speak with the Guardians, see that we're real people, right? Because often crypto projects and any project in general, for example, you only see the news that's released and the community channels and stuff. So it's a great opportunity to also shake hands with, COVID permitting, and say hello to and converse with members of the community whose engagement and feedback is every bit as important as anyone else's. So yeah,
I'm excited for it. I've been wanting to meet our community for a long time. I know we have a legendary Guardian that we're paying for full expenses, exclusive access to come to NFT NYC with us, and so I'm really excited for it to be able to meet Kevin once he flies out, and we'll obviously post some stuff on like Twitter and have fun during the event. So it should be fun. Sweet, man. We got 10 minutes left here. I'm not going to answer any questions here because I want to save some time for you to talk about the Cryptoverse. And I'll start with the segment by saying one thing. Fundamentally speaking, I don't think anyone can build a metaverse better than the creators and the originators of the Cryptoverse. I'm excited for it. I know it's your baby. I know you've taken it on. So let's talk a little bit about it. Maybe square one. I know you have extensive background originally, roots back to DCL in the early days. Maybe just discuss basic framework. What can people expect? Because cryptoverses and metaverses are popping up all over the place. What
Yes.
is the cryptoverse, and why should people be excited?
I mean, on an industry scale, on a societal scale, I'm excited by the potential of metaverses and what I like to refer to as the multiverse, which is effectively like numerous metaverses. Now that comes back to your semantics of the word metaverse. You will hear it on the macrocosmic level that the metaverse is like this digital layer and representation of ourselves, meaning, for example, all of the different experiences of our digital selves within,
Right.
let's say, this blockchain, crypto, whatever it may be. I like to, when I think of metaverses, I think of like an area of space, which has been created digitally, whereby there's a lot of different, let's say, social layers and whatever else. So, when I talk about metaverse here, I'm talking about it on that level. I'm talking about it as like a digital world that has been created, right? And yeah, Ben, as you say, from my perspective, I always wanted ChainGuardians to build a metaverse. Like that was always my end goal, and I think
Here we are.
yeah,
Surprise.
exactly, yeah, and I think from my perspective, it was always an acknowledgement that having been involved with Decentraland as what the first metaverse they were, and then Sandbox followed after, that I always felt like metaverses were going to have a huge role to play in blockchain, in crypto, in just in digital as our digital selves within the world. So I was always super bullish on it, and I think for the longest time, as a result of, let's say, different foci, as a result of, let's say, resource bandwidth, as a result of, let's say, some of the friction points and the teething problems that I saw occurring within DCL and the sandbox, that at the over recent years it wasn't somewhere where we could put our energies.
Right.
However, I felt as though our team, as you know, Ben, has expanded now probably fourfold since January, February, March this year.
Yeah. Even since I've
It's
joined in March, it's definitely at least bare minimum fourfold. Bare minimum.
exactly. So I think now we have the resource and the talent as well, because to be quite frank, talent is a rare commodity, especially within the blockchain space right now. Lots of people are just discovering it. It's still relatively unknown. So there's so much talent exists, for example, within the traditional space, that not all of that crosses over into the to the blockchain space. And slowly we're starting to see that introduction. That I felt we were in a position to create our own metaverse and the cryptoverse, as it were, so to speak.
Yep.
What can people expect? The first instance that they can expect, the first iteration of the metaverse is effectively what I like to refer to as like a play to show environment. In other words, it's this visual layer, a 3D world, which is built in Unreal 5, which is state-of-the-art tech. We've got amazing developers working on it, amazing modelers, and they can expect to run about as an avatar. We want to have cross interoperability between, for example, other partner projects and other projects that we're speaking with regards to avatar opportunities. We want to have wearables, for example, like hopefully with big brands that would become interested, but also, for example, for existing digital brands and stuff. Socialize with friends. We want to have mini games, for example. We want to offer an complete social environment, and I think that is the first step. The engine, the avatar layer, the physics, the wearables, and some of the kind of, let's say, immersive social experiences. So that's the first step.
Love it. It's so hard to have this segment fit into 10 minutes, because realistically, Rob, knowing the way you and I talk, each one of these, and we skipped over 2 topics today just for time's sake, each one of these could very realistically have its own hour-long deconstructing layered analysis of different factors and user value add, in addition to like what we're doing from a resource perspective. But that brings up the next point. I think is really important for people to talk about this. I know we've mentioned at least once, maybe twice before. HSNTMN asks, will the current RPG game continue to be updated, as in will we continue to expend efforts in the RPG, or will all of your energy go into the Cryptoverse? I know the answer, you know the answer, but obviously the community wants to know if the RPG is being abandoned, right? And obviously it's not.
Yes. Oh, categorically not. As you know, Ben, we've just employed 2 new staff, full time for this, game production manager and a Unity developer full time. We're bringing on 1 more as well, who's going to help us readdress a lot of the visual layer, the UI UX, which is effectively another an artistic developer on the RPG side, as well as already the 4 or 5 staff that we have currently working there. So that's a team of like almost 10. Working on the RPG. We wouldn't be hiring 3 new staff if we were planning on dismissing it, right? It just wouldn't make business sense. The RPG is still the lifeblood of the ecosystem. So no, it's an additional product. In 3-4 years, it could be that the RPG and the tech and the experience is somewhat redundant. People may have moved on from it from then, but the NFTs and the items and whatever else will of course would be amalgamated and swallowed into the metaverse. And it could even be that we basically recreate the RPG and the gaming experiences within the metaverse as its own game functionality, but within a 3D metaverse environment. Right. So the RPG is never going to be left unless the demand and the player base falls for it, is essentially the answer to that question.
Brilliant. And the reason why I asked that question, not only was that a splendid standalone question, he or she, sorry, don't mean to assume, asks a similar question about ChainGuardians NFTs being usable in the Cryptoverse. Obviously, our NFTs will be usable in the Cryptoverse. It's going to have complete cross-compatibility, cross-function, cross-utility, Cryptoverse, RPG, NFT mining, active, passive NFT mining. So obviously doing a whole bunch of really cool things there. Yeah, so let's see here. There's one question.
Just to be clear on that, the intention is that basically each of the NFTs for the RPG, the characters that people are buying, would be an equipable or usable avatar within the Cryptoverse. Would be one of the first functionalities that we'd be building into that, just for that social dynamic and layer, of course. But for the medium to long term goals and the creation of the PvP planet, which we're not going to have time to cover in depth, the intention is that they would also be able to become a battle character for you in those scenarios too.
Yeah, and I think that's brilliant, especially because if we just look at some of the functions that we announced being utility of land, specifically in the Cryptoverse, we talk about NFT farms, monetizing content, virtual fence, building mini games, and then this concept of different planets having different purviews of what you can do within each planet.
Yes.
Do you want to provide a little alpha in terms of, because we talked a lot about all of those things standalone are very exciting, but not necessarily standalone from things that we haven't done in the space through land. Do you want to provide any alpha to maybe some things that are in store for possible landowners in the future?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a number of different things that we're calling.
sorry to put you on the spot here. I just that
one's off the script.
Yeah.
That one's off the script. Yeah, so I mean, obviously, if you look at my background's with Decentraland, so I look at all the different ways in which that players have been able to monetize, or users have been able to monetize their content. I mean, you can consider it from, let's say, from a conference point of view. For example, you can host virtual gatherings there. For example, you can. Well, I mean, the sky is literally the limit. Like, there is no, the idea would be that we would be constantly building assets in there that people can gamify their content, that they can have a virtual art gallery or NFTs. They can build mini games there. They can, just host, let's say, social gatherings and content. They can have it as advertising space. They could theoretically, in time, once the assets are ready, they could build a virtual theme park if they want. The sky is literally the limit. There is, of course, let's say, specific, assets and such that would have in mind that people can populate their content with, which would be more gamified. For example, the ability to essentially what would the word deploy is the word I'm
Mhm.
looking for, a mining farm there, for example. So amalgamating the mining experience into the metaverse as well is something that we're obviously exploring in great detail. For the PvP scenarios as well, we're thinking about guild bases. So guild bases, for example, where users can effectively revive players. They can, for example, harness resources. They can meet there as a social area to decide to go and attack another enemy guild base, because the idea behind the PvP planet is that it's just this open world where anything goes, everyone can kill each other and stuff. So yeah, I mean, limitless.
Love it. Sounds like that's the extent that we want to share today, but I can confirm limitless.
Yeah.
I think the easiest way of saying this, after I put you on the spot, Rob, is we wouldn't be doing it if we couldn't add something different,
Yes.
and if there weren't elements that we truly intrinsically believe that we can be doing a lot better, and further innovate on the layered kind of infrastructure in place today. So
Yes.
we'll go that route for now. I do want to answer. We'll make this one a pseudo question, and what I mean by that is we're gonna make this the next question we answer. And Rob, I'm gonna let you pick because I know half the people in here. I don't want to be accused of bias. Get your questions in Cryptoverse related, because this one we'll spin the wheel and then we'll also add 100 CGG on top of the wheel spin. So this will be I know this will be our big wheel. This will be the wheel of fortune, quite literally here.
Hey, that's more than I get paid in a day for being a co-founder. Just
Hey, yeah, I mean, I don't know what to tell you there. Let's see here. There are a lot of great questions already, Rob. So if you see one that you'd like to tackle, this one will not be selected, but it is one that I was going to touch on while we wait for questions to come in. Is there going to be a CG, or not a CG? Is there going to be a land sale that we can expect through Chain Boost? And
what for which project?
answer that how you will, man.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, so okay. We're discussing with, well, there's about 3 projects that want to do NFT related land sales on Chain Boost. Of course, there's always a period of due diligence that needs to go on there, and discussion, and let's say strategic alignment and various other considerations. But yes, we've tentatively agreed 2 NFT land related sales. Within the immediate sense, there's one more that is firmed up for later on in the year, and that's aside from our own land sale for the Cryptoverse, which I know you've been just chiming at a little bit there. The intention for our own land sale is currently we're looking at around mid to the end of November for the Cryptoverse land sale, and users can expect that they would be able to go and run about within their land by early next year. To have the initial physics engine and the initial world that people can run about in by the beginning of next year and see their own virtual land. I don't want to disclose the projects that we have agreed with just yet. It'd be nicer for an announcement to be shared through official channels, so that they're not blindsided by this either, because I'm sure that they won't be expecting me to reveal this on.
No, definitely don't want you to name drop. Just kind of show that the roadmap, the pipeline is as full as it can be. But you mentioned our own land sale, and I think that's what people were looking for, is to confirm that there's going to be a Cryptoverse land sale.
Yes.
Do you want to give a tentative timeline?
Yeah, I would. We're aiming for mid to end of November, basically. So yeah, about 6 to 8 weeks from now, we would expect to be doing the land sale, and of course, a large proportion of that will be done via Chain Boost. But we're also in discussions with several launchpads who would also be very keen to have the opportunity to allow some of their community members to ascertain some land as well. So we figure that we will probably go that route, so that, of course, there's a very good opportunity for our own community to get some land, but there's also some. Oh, hello. There's also some for other communities too.
guys are getting a shout out from my dog. So, hey, baby.
At least it's not
Dude,
my dogs this time.
she's a goofer. I literally bought her a twin-size bed, so she's sitting there with her twin-size bed, thinking she's hot stuff, just barking at everything. So you'll have to apologize. But I think that's super important. So if you didn't catch on to what Rob just said, Cryptoverse land mid-end November, maybe early December. Is that what I heard?
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
Brilliant. Love it.
Yeah, so we're really excited by it, obviously. There's a lot of work going into this, to be honest with you. And we might have, before the land sale, we anticipate that we will have some material to share with users as well, to start, obviously, getting the teeth into what the metaverse might look like.
Love it. Let's do this.
Do I need to pick a question?
You pick a question. While you pick a question, I'm going to announce the giveaway.
Okay, you announced the giveaway.
Go to our Twitter, and all you need to do is tweet at us at ChainGuardians. Tell me what you're excited for the Cryptoverse land. What excites you most? And then add the hashtag CGLand. I will pick a winner later today that will be whitelisted for the first tier of the INO for the Cryptoverse land. So to reiterate, all you have to do is go to our Twitter at ChainGuardians. Tell me what you're most excited for, and then hashtag CGLand. That's it. And then I'll select a winner later today. Didn't have this one on there, but we'll do it.
So there's a lot of questions re RPG, but you wanted a question based on the Cryptoverse, right? So let's go with the Cryptoverse question, which I found. Where did it go? David Bostic. Will it be VR capable, and will it be an Unreal Engine build? I think that they're really important questions. Yes, it will be Unreal 5 engine, and will it be VR capable? Yes, it will be VR capable, but not optimized or intended for VR for some time because, frankly speaking, the world's not ready for VR yet. If you've got VR and you can spend more than 30 minutes in VR without feeling nauseous or vomiting, you have got some crazy, let's say, center of gravity / peripheral vision / I don't know, sense of self. Because for the vast majority of mere mortals, it means that they are, feeling dizzy, sick, or just for whatever reason, generally not able to stay within that environment. And I'm sure that there will be improvements and optimizations from a hardware and a software point of view in time. But until that is ready, it will be essentially the content will be consumed through an application in Unreal Engine via your computer.
Brilliant. Love it. And who is the user behind that? I'm sorry, I got sidetracked from my gorgeous princess over here that's being a brat today.
That was David Bostic.
David.
Mm.
David Bostic. Brilliant. So we'll spin the wheel for David, and then we'll add 100. Was it 100 or 50? I can't remember. We'll give him 100.
I think he said 100. Yeah.
Sweet. We'll do 100. So here we go. Last spin of the day right here. Oh, well, you guess you just got yourself 150
You got 150 CGG.
Jeez, that's a good day right there.
Yeah,
Love
that's
it.
not bad at all.
Let's see here.
Can I
Brilliant.
can I leak something as well before we go?
Dude, I'm never going to say no to that.
It's nothing like kind of too cray, but I just
Yeah.
wanted to, show you that, for example, a lot of the behind the scenes work that's, let's say, going on with regards to the RPG. Let's just see if I can zoom out from. Why have you done that?
Be careful, because every time Noy shares his screen, he leaks something. So,
Here we go.
like unintentionally leaks, right?
Yeah, Noi's terrible. Well, I'm doing a leak on behalf of Noi right now.
Oh, fair.
Can you see my screen?
Oh, wow. It's lagging a little bit.
Is that flashing?
Yeah, it was flashing.
There we
There you
go.
go. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Have you seen this yet?
This is new for me, Rob. What the heck are we looking at here?
So of course, I think I mentioned in one of the dev updates, which took me a long time to write, guys. I hope you appreciate them. That we would be readdressing the visual layer and also how the in-game assets look for the RPG. Um, and until this time, really, Noy has been so busy on creating new character concepts in Guardians all the time. And I've kind of managed to convince Emma that it's about time that some of the chibis had some love for the RPG.
Yep.
So Noy is redrawing the chibis, and it's going to be, it's going to take some time. But obviously, the first in line is Bitsy, and here you can see what the new perspective design for Bitsy looks like in terms of the chibi within the RPG.
My
Uh,
gosh.
Yeah, it's beautiful, right? Now, it's not final, like as in we've given some feedback and Noi's going to probably make some slight improvements based on, for example, not a big fan of the nose as it currently is. Like Bitsy seem to have no nose right now. Um, but um, but yeah, I mean, in general, how beautiful does she look? And you can see the kind of overlap of the hair here, and like obviously her kind of let's say a bobble or bandana or whatever it is. This will all be animated, so it'll move and stuff as well. So you're just going to have that a lot more immersive experience, and the chibis are going to look much more beautiful.
How do you not? I mean, I I get excited having conversations like this, so I know I can only imagine how our community feels after your. Oh, what the heck?
Yeah, so again, this is just some conceptual stuff, right? Obviously, we talked about redesigning the UI UX and stuff. Now, this is just literally a mock-up, for example. But some of these examples, for example, intuitiveness around which character is attacking and which isn't. You can see like the little portrait as opposed to, for example, like just a number above the heads, and stripping back some of the clutter on the screen so it's more condensed and beautiful and stuff. So yeah, and obviously redefining a lot of the background art too. So as you can see, all of these stuff are in the pipeline, and we're working on them a lot. And yeah, here's a couple of leaks for you.
We gotta have a chat, Rob. You kept this from me. I'm offended. But I
So
think
pretty.
just looking at that, not this one, the chibi, which is absolutely incredible. Looking at the last screenshot, there may or may not be more leaks in it than people realize.
Yeah, I'm not going to go too much into too much
No, I'm
detail.
not. I think we just leave it
I know you.
ambiguous in that state.
Yeah, there is more leakage going on there for sure. Yeah, but yeah, it's just I just thought it'd be nice to share something with the community and just see that work is ongoing and things are happening. It's just taking time. We're re-architecturing a lot of the back end. For example, when we started building the RPG, it was 2019. So the code base was built in Unity 2019. Now, of course, we're updating that to, or have updated that to Unity 2021. But all these things take time, so we're tightening up a lot of the code architecture in the back end so that when we're adding in new features and new chibis and whatever else, it's much more intuitive and more seamless and much more immersive and user-friendly experience for players. So yeah.
I think that's a good question just before we maybe tailor it off here because we have had some persistent issues just from user experience in the RPG. So can we outline kind of maybe a specific timeline? And obviously we've talked a massive amount about how we've expanded exponentially, so just night and day how far we've expanded our RPG team. But when can people start to feel from a user's perspective the front loaded team expansion, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think again, just based on conversation with the devs and their current timeline. For example, we've completely gone back to the drawing board with respect to the game design and the numbers, for example, for level progression, and that's obviously where you've seen some of the cap changes come in, for example. And beyond that, also like the level progression and how much experience you gain and all that kind of stuff, as well as the re-architecturing of the code. That we're looking at about 4 to 6 weeks, and that will also, without even users realizing it, include a huge amount of security updates, and that it's also positioning us in a much more solid fundamental base layer for implementation of full stack CGG as well. So all of this work that's going on behind the scenes is to enable for all of these development like goals that we've set out in terms of the 7 days of dev updates.
Yep.
I would anticipate that within the next 8 weeks, users are going to start feeling a massive improvement within the gameplay experience. Add on another 4 weeks from then, and I'd hope that we'd already start to see the early implementations in terms of the amalgamation of the RPG and the NFT mining, so the guild-based system. So over the next 2 to 3 months, users should start feeling a much more, let's say, enjoyable RPG and enhanced features.
Love it. Love it. I see Sam saying never talk about timelines, but we have to. We have to set timelines. That's what a roadmap is kind of a broad-based timeline. So we have to at least share what our internal expectation and is. And Rob is always generally more conservative with his timelines. So
yes,
always happy to have Rob spilling out the timelines because generally they're very, very conservative. Yes. I see we missed a spin, so let's spin real quick for you. I can't remember if we spun for you. I'll rewatch the stream, but in case I did miss, I'll spin it for you real quick before we sign off here. Merch. Love it.
Who gets the merch?
That's HSNTMN. Can't remember if I spun for you or not. If I did miss you, we'll get you merch. I'll have to rewatch it if I spun for you before or not. Dan, we have lore lined up. It's just a matter of getting it out. So fun stuff coming with lore as well. That said, Rob, man, we have covered a lot of stuff today, man. And the not scary thing, but the exciting thing is we could have talked for 3, 4, 5 more hours and still wouldn't be at the end of it all.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, there's so much going on behind the scenes. I can't even begin to kind of even think about what it is half of the time because we've just got an amazing team of people who work around the clock all day, every day, 12, 14 hours, from all around the world. So, it's difficult to kind of even begin to talk about certain aspects to advise. Yeah, for example, there's people working on NFT mining changes, the staking stuff still yet to come, the governance protocol, which is also kind of in the pipeline, the improvements that are going on that I know about from ChainBoost side of things and the enhancement. There is just consistently an abundance of work going on. And of course, we're always striving for more, striving for better. So I'm just absolutely blessed to be a part of the team and very thankful for the amazing community and team members that we've got. So I hope that you'll have me back at some point, Ben, over maybe the next month or so to talk about some more stuff.
You're always allowed, man. People love chit-chatting with you. So Rob, as always, I know you got a crazy busy schedule. Our whole team, I say it not every, but I say it frequently. If there's a team that works harder than us, I don't want to meet them because they're not human anymore. So excited to have you here. Yeah, very excited to have you here, Rob. We'll definitely have you back. Just want to remind people, tweet at @chain_guardians what you're excited for with our land and use hashtag CGLand for an INO whitelisting for Cryptoverse land. Don't forget, because I'm not going to make an announcement about it. It's exclusive to people that tune into this live stream. It's exclusive to people that watch the entire live stream. And y'all know if you get to the end of the live stream, we do crazy stuff like that. So only available to you guys. Rob, thanks as always, man. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me. Cheers, guys.
All right, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the Cryptoverse.
注がれた光の雨瞳に映ったこの世界を守るため立ち向かうそれは心も痩せがせ隅でまた霞み始めてる決意揺らぎそうでも閉ざされた空その鍵を壊せばそう握られた刃はまだ持て余されて加速する共鳴が言霊を脈 憎しみや恨みを生んでしまう